So I didn't watch. I didn't start the show with the debate, and that's because I thought it would be better to start the show with something that actually matters, and the debate doesn't matter. And I'm not just saying that to be contrarian or whatever. I'm not just saying that because I only watched parts of the debate, not the whole thing, so I couldn't deliver a complete analysis of it if I wanted to. Though that is the case, I admit. But I'm saying it because it's true. You know, it just is. Like this stuff, it really doesn't matter. It has almost no effect. Who won the debate? There's the big, now there's the debate after the debate about who won it. Well, Vivek had some good moments. DeSantis had some good moments. The others performed exactly as you'd expect. I thought they all performed exactly as you would expect. And pretty much, you know, I've noticed this pattern. Here's a really interesting pattern that I've noticed. Okay, it's pretty fascinating coincidence. But what I've seen is just watching pundits and people, the peanut gallery after the debate, it seems like if you liked Vivek Ramaswamy before the debate, then you probably will think that he won it. And if you liked DeSantis before the debate, then you'll probably think that he won it. And if you like Mike Pence before the debate, you'll think that he won it. So that's the relationship that I'm noticing. Most of the people who think that Vivek won the debate are the ones who, going into it, liked him the most. Pretty fascinating. Again, I mean, who could have seen that coming? The truth is that nobody had a moment that will live in history and be remembered. Nobody had any one line, a response that will be quoted 10 years from now or even 10 seconds from now. Nobody imploded on stage either. You know, nobody went down in flames. I mean, it is possible. I'm not saying that no debate has ever mattered. It is possible for someone to have a debate performance that does have a major impact on the political world and on their own political fortunes for good or ill. That does happen, obviously. We can all think of examples. But it doesn't usually happen, and it didn't happen last night. Everybody was fine. Yeah, everyone was fine. It was fine. Like, it was fine. C+. Fox was not fine, though. Fox was pretty terrible, which is not unexpected. They were terrible with topic selection. They were terrible with how they handled the debate, and I'll talk about that in a moment. As for topic selection, they hit, for example, they hit climate change basically right out of the gate. And this is maybe the one clip from last night that I'll play for you because it gives you a good idea of where Fox is coming from. But here they are teeing up the climate change conversation.
Hawaii's governor and White House officials said that climate change amplified the cost of human error.
And a tropical storm hit California for the first time in 84 years. The ocean hit 101 degrees off the coast of Florida. And in the last month, the heat wave in the Southwest broke records nearly 50 years old.
So Alexander Diaz from Young America's Foundation has a question for you all.
Polls consistently show that young people's number one issue is climate change. How will you, as both President of the United States and leader of the Republican Party, calm their fears that the Republican Party doesn't care about climate change?
So we want to start on this with a show of hands. Do you believe in human behavior is causing climate change? Raise your hand if you do.
Look, we're not school children. Let's have the debate. I mean, I'm happy to take it to start.
By the way, first time in 84. So tropical storm hit California for the first time in 84 years. So you're saying it happened 84 years ago. So you're saying this is the kind of thing that does happen. It's rare, but it happens. But rare things happen. They just don't happen often. And so when a rare thing happens, it doesn't mean that some unprecedented of it. It's not unprecedented. It's rare. By definition, that means it's not unprecedented. What caused it 84 years ago? If climate change is causing it now, okay, if human man-made climate change is causing the tropical storm now, what caused it 84 years ago? And if you're going to tell me, so something else 84 years ago, well, then couldn't it be that something else now? So there's no difference between how Fox handled this debate and how MSNBC would have handled it. They talked about climate change. They talked about January 6th. They talked about Ukraine. They talked about Trump. They probably talked about Trump. I don't know. I haven't seen the breakdown of how much time was spent on each topic. But Trump as a topic will be certainly in the top three in terms of the amount of time spent on it. And that was most of it. Exactly the kind of topic selection MSNBC would have went with. No difference. And by the way, Fox did not ask any questions about child mutilation or gender ideology which that's the biggest cultural issue in the country for multiple years now, is that, and there wasn't one single question about it. And I brought this up on Twitter, and someone said, well, there's no reason to ask because we already know what their answers are. They all agree. First of all, if we aren't asking questions, if we're going to decide in the debate that we're not going to ask any question that we already know the answer to, then we would just ask no questions at all because we know what they're going to say to all of these things. But they don't all agree. In fact, there's a person on that stage, Asa Hutchinson, who vetoed a bill banning child mutilation. So they don't all agree. You have a governor who has banned child mutilation, another one who vetoed the ban of it. So there's let's have a discussion about that. No time for that. We got to talk about climate change and other stuff. And this thing about climate change being the number one issue for young people is BS, obviously. Climate change is not, I'm sorry, I don't care. Even if someone tells me that climate change is their number one issue, it's not. I don't believe you. If you try to tell me that, I just don't believe you. I don't believe the polls. That's the kind of answer people give because they think they're supposed. When someone comes to you, especially if you're younger and you're not clued in, you don't know what's going on in the world, and some surveyor comes to you and says, "What are the top issues to you?" And then you say, "Oh, climate change," because it sounds socially conscious. It sounds like the kind of thing you're supposed. It's a safe thing. It's a safe thing to say. It's the kind of answer you give on a survey because you think it's the answer you're supposed to give. But nobody is waking up in the morning worried about climate change. People don't even talk about it in real life. I did like DeSantis' response there, the way he began his response, objecting to the way the question was even framed. What is this raise your hand stuff? They did that multiple times last night. Raise your hand if. This is what my kids do at the dinner table. This is what they do when they're all sitting around. Raise your hand if you think vanilla is the best ice cream flavor. This is what kids like to do. These are adults, allegedly. This is a presidential race. Can we actually talk about it and have what do you mean raise your hand? Especially when it comes to an issue like this, when you can't really give your take with a simple hand raise. Not every question is yes or no. And that was my biggest problem with the debate. And it's my problem with how basically every presidential debate is run, especially in the primaries. I hate it. I hate it. I think they do it completely wrong. I hate the way we approach debates. Innovation Refunds has been helping small businesses that qualify to get a business payroll tax refund through the Employee Retention Credit, or also known as the ERC. The ERC is a tax refund for businesses that kept employees on payroll for parts of 2020 and 2021. If you own a business with more than 5 employees, you could have money waiting to be claimed. Have you started your application for the ERC, but it didn't finish it? Well, Innovation Refund's team of independent tax attorneys specialize in ERC applications, so you don't have to worry about potential errors or navigating complex IRS guidelines. Let their team guide you through the remaining steps to find out if you're eligible. Their dedicated team of independent tax attorneys will help you complete your ERC application with confidence and peace of mind today. Innovation Refunds does not provide tax or legal advice. They work with an independent network of tax professionals and will share information with them to evaluate and process your claims. Go to innovationrefunds.com to determine eligibility. If you qualify, you could be on your way to receiving money for your business. There's no upfront charge since they don't get paid unless you get paid. Go to innovationrefunds.com or dial 1-843-REFUNDS. That's innovationrefunds.com or 1-843-REFUNDS. Terms and conditions apply. Because the thing is, they did cover some topics that matter. They talked about the border. They talked about crime. They talked about abortion. These are topics that matter. But even there, it was basically pointless because you have 8 people on the stage and they have 90 seconds or 45 seconds or even 30 seconds in some cases to give an answer. Okay? How ridiculous is that? In a political debate, when we're trying to figure out who should be president, you throw a question out, you have 30 seconds. 30 seconds? What can you say in 30 seconds? And then, of course, as it always goes in these debates, if they actually start arguing, right? If they debate during the debate, the moderators jump in to shut it down. Hey, stop that. No, there's not going to be any debating, sir. There will be no debating in this debate. Those are the rules. Stop debating. This is a debate, not a debate. Stop debating. Be civil, which means, what does that mean? It means go back to giving your canned 30-second sound bites. And they're all canned, okay? I know the knock on someone like DeSantis, again, it's mostly from people that decided ahead of time they weren't going to like his performance no matter what he did. But still, his responses are canned. They're all canned. What do you think they're doing up there? Are you that stupid that you think that there's anyone on the stage not giving a canned response? You don't think they all sat there and rehearsed it and they're giving rehearsed responses? Maybe some of them are better at not sounding rehearsed, but they're all rehearsed and canned, all of them every time. You know why? Because nobody can say anything worthwhile in 30 seconds. You can't flesh out your views. You can't explain your position. You can't do anything but give a canned response. I don't even blame them for giving canned responses. You have to. What else are you going to do? You know, if someone says, what do you think about crime? You have 30 seconds, go. If you don't have a canned response for that, you're not going to, you won't be able to say anything. You're just like, what do I think about it? Let me think. That's what normal people do. Unless you have a canned response and you could pull into your bag of canned response. Oh, I got a 30-second for that. I mean, these people, they all have, they have a 30-second canned response for each topic. They have 45 seconds. They have 90 seconds. They might have a 2-minute. And depending on the forum, if it's a debate, then they go, if they go into cable news. Can any of them talk about any of these topics for more than 120 seconds at a maximum? Can any of them flesh out their views for, like, let's say 5 minutes at a time? I don't know. We've rarely seen it. And so when we talk about who won the debate, what do you mean by win? Okay, the person who wins, if anyone wins, it's because they were the best at saying snappy, clever things in 30 seconds, which great. Okay, that's great. But what does that mean? What does that tell us about them? So what? So let's say that someone has the best, debate performance in the world. It's the best thing you've ever seen, the best debate performance. All that means is that they are very, very, very good at saying clever things in 30 seconds that they've rehearsed ahead of time, but they don't sound rehearsed. Which again, I mean, that is a real skill. I give you a lot of props for that. It means you'd be a great cable news contributor, but does it mean you'd be a great president? What is the carryover here? You might as well just have them go out and do a three-legged race. Put them in potato sacks and do a relay race. That'd be more entertaining, at least. Have them do a push-up contest on stage. It's more entertaining. It would be just as irrelevant, probably less irrelevant, actually. At least that would tell us a little bit about their physical fitness in office, because this tells us nothing. The way they handle it tells us nothing about them. It tells us nothing about how they would be as president, and I hate it. I don't know if I've mentioned that I hate it, but I really do. And then you have the live audience there. What is the live audience doing in there? Like, why does no one question this? Why do we need a live? Yeah, the debate should be live. It should be broadcast live. But why do you need an audience in the room? What does that do? What difference does that? This is supposed to be a conversation about serious issues. Why do we need trained SEALs clapping in the background? All that means is that someone can say something really ordinary and it will sound epic if they get the applause, right? So they can say, oh yeah, well, I think you're wrong about that. And then the crowd goes, ooh, wow, yeah. And then later on, the pundits will talk about how that was a great moment. I thought that was a great line. When the candidate said that the other one was wrong about that, crowd reaction was great. It was a great moment. It was a defining moment for him. That's going to change everything. So here's how the debate should go, okay? I'm not just criticizing without having a solution. Here's what you do. Primaries. You let 3 or 4 people into the debate, not any more than that. I mean, there were people who were complaining that there weren't enough people in there. People complaining that, Larry Elder, someone else should have been. But you thought there should have been more people on the stage? That's what you think? That's how we improve this? No, there should be 3 or 4 people. You take the top 3 or 4 people. We don't need the guys that no one's heard of. We don't need the governor of North Dakota. 10 people live in that state. Half of them have never heard of their governor. The rest of us have no idea. Okay? I mean, I could announce for president tomorrow and I would poll higher than the governor of North Dakota. Not much higher, but I would poll higher. Like, guaranteed. So he's irrelevant. We don't need him in there. We don't need Asa Hutchinson in there. Who's voting for Asa Hutchinson? What audience? What is Asa Hutchinson's base? If you talk to one person in your life And you ask them what's the politician you support, and they say Asa Hutchinson. What do we need Chris Christie for? He's not a serious candidate either. So just give up the 3 or 4 top guys, put them in a room, nobody in the audience. You give them topics and you let them argue about the topics. That's all. That's all the moderator should do. That's how you moderate a debate. You say, okay, candidates, your first topic is the border. Then maybe you give them each 3 minutes for opening statements, just to kind of lay out opening statement. And then you say, okay, go, 45 minutes, talk about it. And then you sit back and you just let them talk. That's it. You just let them have a conversation like normal human beings do, so we can actually hear them flesh it out, hear how they defend their point, hear it. Can we let it play out a little bit? Presidential debate between 2 people, even more so. You have the two presidential candidates. You should have, it's a two and a half hour debate. You have maybe 5 or 6 topics, maybe at most, and you throw out the topic. They get 30 to 45 minutes, 20 minutes at a minimum, and you just let them talk about it. You don't need to jump in. Sir, stop being mean. You're being mean to him. You're interrupting. It's a little bit to it. Be nice, please and thank you. We don't need that. Why do we need that? It's all wrong. All this stuff is so incredibly ridiculous and insulting. And I talked about it for 15 minutes anyway, but what can I do? Hey, YouTube, thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like access to my full show with no ads, you should go to dailywire.com and use promo code Walsh to get 2 months free on all annual plans. See you there.